everybody, and welcome to Trib Live, Trib Sports. Tim Benz and Mark Madden with you. Glad that you're with us for Madden and Benz Unfiltered. We are here each and every Monday, 9:30 until 10. Mark on Monday through Friday on 105.9 The X. I'm actually in for Mark today. Mark is just back from Canada. He was at Niagara Falls. We are brought to you by Mike's Beer Bar on the North Shore. Meet me at Mike's. They've got 80 rotating taps. They've got Steak on a Stone delicacy that they have there right across the street from PNC Park at the base of the Clemente Bridge. 500 available craft beers. Meet me at Mike's. Lots to get to today. Mark, maybe let's pick up where we left off in terms of discussion on the podcast about Mike McCarthy and the coaching staff that he is assembling with the Steelers. Lots of familiarity, lots of typical coaching tree. Does this feel to you like one big lure just to get Aaron Rodgers back in the fold?
Well, no. As I said on the podcast, I don't criticize McCarthy for getting guys he knows. Who are you going to get? A staff full of complete strangers? That would make the meshing all the more difficult, lengthy. So the fact of the matter is, whenever a coaching staff gets hired, none of us out here knows if it's going to work. Mike Munchak was a good offensive line coach because he happened to have DeCastro and Pouncey in their primes. You bring the equivalent of them two in today as rookies. I'm not even sure who the new O-line coach is, but he'll do pretty good. So, no, I ain't got no problem with Mike's hires. As I've been saying, I think the most interesting is Patrick Graham, not because of who he is, but because of what he has to do. That's an aging defense that doesn't play up to its salary level, but doesn't want to change. TJ Watt is clearly in decline, but wants to keep playing just as he always has. So good luck to Patrick Graham. He's going to need it.
The funny part of that to me was how Mike McCarthy during his press conference talked about how he's only had one top five defense in his time as a head coach, and that was the year that they happened to win the Super Bowl, as if to sort of suggest that, you know, this defense is far enough along that if I can have the offense to supplement it, we have a real shot here. I don't think he realizes how far off the defense actually is. I think he's like a lot of other people from Pittsburgh.
Prior management, Tim. I mean, they acted like the defense wasn't a problem, like it was a strength. I mean, before this past season, they were talking about it being, you know, legendary and record-setting, and anybody who had seen it play knew that just wasn't going to happen, knew that it just wasn't possible, no matter who they added, because who they added weren't that good. So they just don't get that the defense ain't what they think it is. They just ignore the stats. It's a game where stats are paramount, but they do a good job ignoring them.
Have you found, Mark, in the days since the press conference that the tone has switched, that any criticism you have of the hire McCarthy has met with pushback because of the whole, you know, wrapping his arms around Pittsburgh narrative?
Yeah, I said that pretty much from the get-go, that a big reason for his hire, and I've come to realize in the days that have passed, maybe the biggest reason for his hire is because it's a feel-good story. It misdirects from the disappointment of that loss to Houston, and indeed the disappointment of the last 9 years. That doesn't mean McCarthy's not a good coach. He's a solid coach at the very least, but they did hire him as a feel-good type of thing, no question.
Let's get to the Penguins, and we'll come back to football when we get to the Super Bowl. But I do want to talk about the Pens. They had been excellent defensively prior to the third period of that game against the New York Rangers. Did you find that to be an anomaly, Mark? Because honestly, for as much attention as their supplemental goal scoring has gotten, I thought the defensive play from the net out was very much an underrated talking point with the way they had performed pretty much since Christmas.
Not underrated, just it's the primary reason for their success. I mean, a lot of their goals come on turnovers and counterattack, you know, which is enabled by, you know, speed guys like Chinikov and how he's fit in, but basically they play simple hockey. I just wrote about this in my column for the Trib. The F3, the high forward's always in the right spot. He airs on the side of defense. And the defensemen still pinch, but not as haphazardly. They pick their spots better. So, you know, they played great defense, great offense, great everything. That's how you have the run they've had since the Christmas break. But no, I'm not worried about that hiccup at the end of the Rangers game. They were due for a bit of a bad stretch defensively. just maybe a bit of relaxation because, you can't be on your toes every second of every game. And at least they picked a spot where they could get away with it.
Prior to that game, I think the numbers were one game that they had allowed more than 3 goals, actual goals, because they did lose a shootout 4-3 to Columbus where there was a team fourth goal. But that was the first one, aside from a victory they had against Columbus, 5-4 in overtime, where they allowed more than 3 actual goals. So it's been a real strength for them. I think Chinakhov is the most important guy of these players who have come out of nowhere, Mark, because he's the one with the biggest upside. Like, it's great that Dewar's pitching in. It's great that you're getting a career season out of Shea. It's great that you might wind up with a career season or close to it from Mantha. But what you're tapping now in Chinakhov is something that the Blue Jackets just couldn't, but it was there, and it can be here for a while in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's Chinakhov or Karlamov. I mean, it's just incredible how good he's played. Yeah, there's a lot of things that have chipped in. Nearly everybody Kyle Dubas has acquired has been a home runner pretty close. I want to point out the difference with Stuart Skinner in goal instead of Tristan Jarry. I can put it very simply. Jarry's a loser and Skinner's a winner. They vilified him in Edmonton because he didn't win quite enough, but now Jarry's up to his old tricks in Edmonton. Well, we have to cut down the grade A chances. We need to be more careful when we turn the puck over. No, shut the frig up and stop the puck, you loser. I knew this would work out for Pittsburgh and kill Edmonton, and I'm overjoyed that it's gone exactly like I figured.
Puck handling mistakes from him, giving up goals and bunches or on the first shot.
It's more simple than that. He's just a loser. If he played ball hockey, he'd lose at that. If he played checkers, he'd lose at that. If he played poker, he'd lose at that. Don't bet too high because you'll be broke. He's a loser.
Mark, they've got 2 more games here before the Olympic break. After the Ottawa game tonight, they go on the road, and then they play Buffalo and the Islanders. Actually, the Islanders and Buffalo had that flip-flopped. Islanders and Buffalo to close things out. Those are 2 important games on the road. Islanders right next to them in the standings. Buffalo in the last wild card slot. It's get that second or third spot in the division. That is so key for them because they're starting to become a little pad between the bottom of the Metro and the bottom of the Atlantic for those wild card spots.
Heck, they could catch Carolina. They play Carolina 3 times in March. I mean, if you're going to dream big. But yeah, if they finish second or third, whoever finishes second or third, right there with them is a team they're going to be able to beat in the playoffs. Not it'll be guaranteed, far from it. But they get a winnable series if they finish second or third in the division. And you're right, they're opening up a bit of space between themselves and the teams below them. And the teams below them aren't good. I still worry about Washington, who came back to beat Carolina after being 3-0 down. But other than that, Philadelphia, the Rangers, teams like that, they just flat stink.
You brought up the Chinakhov-Karlamov comp. Have you seen on Netflix yet, Mark, the new Miracle on Ice documentary that was done?
No, I did not yet. I don't think Karlamov played in those Olympics. I think they left him at home as some kind of punishment.
It's good. It was definitely worth watching.
I think he stole toilet paper or something.
I really enjoyed it. It's a lot of different footage. There's more conversation with some of the guys that maybe you didn't hear as much about or from in some previous documentaries. The shots of Lake Placid, especially since I've been there a couple times now and been in the rink, the shots of Lake Placid in the rink are so cool when you go back in time. It's definitely worth a watch.
I was there 3 weeks before the Olympics.
No kidding. What were you up there for? A ball hockey tournament?
No. I was up there. A bunch of friends of mine played for North Catholic High School back then. And they took up, they added some players from throughout Western Pennsylvania, went up there to play Northwood Prep School, their B team. So that was really cool because D. Rizzo, who now helps represent Sidney Crosby, played for Northwood, not on the B team. He was on the A team, so I didn't get to see him play. But I got to, hang out with him and see Northwood. And then, 3 weeks later, the U.S. pulled off the miracle. So it was kind of cool to say, boy, I was in that building before it became that building.
Yeah, it is holy ground. If anybody is looking for a quick trip, a weekend trip, doesn't matter what time of year. It's great in the springtime, too. You can do the bobsled run and all that stuff. It's just, the town just drips with history. Like, you walk and you know you're walking on sports hallowed ground when you do the little tour around the lake.
Aren't the dormitories prisons now?
I don't know about that. Where are they?
I think they are. No, seriously, I think they are. I think the dorms got made into a prison.
I wonder, I don't even know where the dorms are unless they're like towards the horse track now. There's not a horse track, but there's like, what do you call that? Equestrian? Like where they have equestrian
Right,
tournaments?
like jumping and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Right.
I think they might be out there, but that's kind of out towards the ski jump, which is really cool to go up as well. But I digress, and we have to do a wellness check, Mark, on former Pittsburgh Penguin Colby Armstrong. Have you checked on Colby now that his outdoor game goal record has been broken?
Now hold on right there. Okay. That's just another game. It's like comparing horse manure to caviar. Okay. The only outdoor game that counts is the Winter Classic. Colby Armstrong is still the record holder for fastest goal in a Winter Classic. Okay. Let's stop the conversation right there.
Eagle had an 11-second last night, and then it immediately became overshadowed by the goalie fight between Vasilevsky and Swayman. Did you see that?
Yeah, but isn't that, I mean, okay, I understand people get a kick out of that. But, like, to me, that's the league showing its ass. You know, like, okay, we're going to fight because it's a big stage. The goalies are going to fight. Isn't that cool? How about just great hockey? And there was great hockey. It was an exciting game, but now all people are talking about is the goalie fight. And how about the Lightning showed up dressed in full Tampa Bay Buccaneers football uniform? Did you see that?
What they showed up like their walk to the locker room or something you're talking about?
Yeah, they were wearing helmets even. That's just stupid. Highlight your own game. Football wouldn't do that for you.
I saw the Bruins dressed up in like, they were colonial men or something like that. They were patriots or something like that to honor the New England Patriots, I guess was the thing. But they didn't go in like football gear. They were like wearing colonial outfits.
And the Tampa coaches were like pimps.
Yeah, I saw that. That was John Cooper was dressed like he's in Tampa, not Miami. He knows the difference, right?
Well, was he supposed to be like Scarface?
Well, he looked like Don Johnson. And they were smoking cigars. They're smoking Cuban cigars after.
One thing, and I mean this very sincerely, Tim, and I bet you agree. One thing that events like Winter Classics prove beyond the shadow of a doubt is that hockey is not cool. Does not know how to be cool. They try. They think they are. They're not cool. I love hockey. It doesn't know how to be cool.
I do agree with you about the goalie fight thing. I think that they were pretty clearly well aware that they were on a huge stage, and if that game is indoors in Boston or Tampa on the regular ice surface, those two goalies don't fight.
Yeah, I tend to agree. And like I said, it's showing your ass. It's a part of the game that you shouldn't want to spotlight, but somehow, well, it's uniquely Canadian.
As was the punishment for Brian Rust as opposed to Tom Wilson.
Yeah, Tom Wilson took dude's head off in that game against Carolina and didn't even get a minor penalty. It's because he's a quote-unquote hard-nosed player, and that's part of his game. It's not part of Rusty's game, so it's a dirty play. That is totally illogical, but you have some goon from a trailer park in Washington, PA, overseeing discipline. So there you go.
What'd you think of the news of Suarez signing elsewhere, not coming to Pittsburgh?
I was hoping it was Luis Suarez, and he was back at Liverpool. Yeah, I mean, we're getting the aw shucks we just missed routine again.
Right, yeah.
And the bottom line is 15 mil. That's what they paid him, right? 15 mil?
Reds bringing back Suarez, Cincinnati, $15 million contract for 2026 alone, yeah.
See, I saw projections of multiple years at like 25 million. So obviously he came in way under. So the Pirates should have said to him, okay, we'll give you 20.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you can't advance the argument of, oh, gee, gosh, they came so close. You can't come close if you're the Pirates. You've got to overpay. If he comes in at 15, you've got to come in at 25 and make him say no to real money, because otherwise he's not coming, even if the competition is Cincinnati, because that's going back to where he originally played for them. So it's just not the same thing.
If you offer him 20, he's coming to Pittsburgh.
Now, does this clear the way more for Kutch to come back now, Mark? Is that the cushion that they're going to use here?
I guess. I mean, the Pirates fool the citizens so easily. You're such rubes and marks out there. They should have offered him 20. It would have been chump change. Even 20 is. And again, what the Pirates have done with O'Hearn and Lyle is they haven't improved the team significantly. They just haven't. I mean, it's a little bit better. But they've improved the team enough to fool all of you. That's what they've done, and that's all they ever intended to do. Now they can't miss, and everybody who covers the team as a fan, I wrote about that. I wrote about the Steelers side of that in my Trib Notes column today, Tim, is that how come none of the local media ever breaks a story about the Steelers? I keep getting told they're all insiders, but Adam Schefter breaks all the stories, then they pick up the crumbs. Are they insiders or are they under the tent?
Well, I think there's a little bit of both depending on who you're talking about. But
No,
yeah,
I think they're all under the tent, period. You know who's an exception? I'll give credit to Fabo. Like that inside the locker room story DeFabo did after the Tomlin resignation, that was really good. That was really great reporting. And might I add, where's Tomlin gone to, Tim? No farewell press conference. Hasn't talked to Glazer
I'm sure he's talked to Glazer. I'm sure he's talked to Glazer. He just hasn't done so publicly or on the record, and Glazer hasn't advanced anything he said.
Well, that's what I mean.
But I'm sure that they've talked because
the story of why he quit hasn't been told yet. And a lot of people who cover that team know and are being irresponsible and not.
How do you feel about the finishing up the Pirates thought? I saw that they were somewhere in the neighborhood of the high 70s in their win total. I think they could actually honestly be in the neighborhood of like 9 or 10 wins better, which gets them close to 80. I think they could be, but that's even if you're 10 wins better, you're not guaranteed a playoff spot is where I'm going with it.
If you signed Suarez, you would have been in contention for a playoff spot. I don't think you quite would have got it, but you would have been in legitimate contention.
You sticking with the Seahawks at -4.5? This is our last time we're going to talk before the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I think they're by far the better team. I think New England could pull something off, but I'm not sure that they're ready. I think they might have arrived a year early if you believe in crap like that.
Yeah, some people said that about the Bengals, too, going back a few years, but they put up a good show. I think it'll be a close game.
Well, now, just because you arrive early doesn't mean you're ever going to get back. It doesn't mean it's inevitable. Again, like you just said, look at the Bengals.
I think the Seahawks win. I'd love to get that line down to 3.5. Maybe you wait to bet it to see if some Patriots money comes in late, and then that line gets deflated and gets down. I might wait on that because 4.5 is just a tricky number, but I do think the Seahawks win.
Yeah, I think Darnold I think he's going to polish off this incredible year. Smith and the jig was unbelievable. It makes you realize why they didn't give a damn about trading DK. Imagine DK could be there right now. Geno Smith could be there right now. Except if they were both there, they wouldn't be there.
Yeah, I think the fact that especially it's Darnold instead of – and that's one thing actually, Mark, that we haven't talked about enough is the Steelers could have been in the mix on Darnold. They just weren't going to pay for it. They were never going to pay what Seattle ended up paying.
I heard they just missed, Tim.
Let's get to some –
No. You know what, too? I think Seattle is there because DK's not there. I think a guy like him just sucks the energy out of your dressing room.
Brian says Suarez turns down 2 years, $40 million with the Pirates to sign 1 year at $15 million with the Reds. Why? Pirates couldn't sign Omar Suarez. Who is Omar Suarez?
Oh, he was in Scarface. He was he was the guy they hung from the helicopter.
Oh, yeah, he was the guy in the white suit, right?
Yeah. Now hold it. Where did it say they offered him 2 years, $40 million? I didn't hear that.
Well, 2 years, $40 million would be 2 of 20. I've heard that kicked around. I can't remember what I just heard on their flagship before we came on.
He would have been offered 2 years, $40 million, hit a sign.
Do you think? Or maybe he just really doesn't want to play here as opposed to playing back in Cincinnati, or having the chance to play one more year in Cincinnati, then hit it really big and go elsewhere.
Yeah, I whenever I hear that they offered him this, but he took a lesser offer, I just think that's crap. I think whoever says that made it up or got told that by somebody who made it up.
Mark asks, will the Olympic break help or hurt the Penguins? I know it will help Malkin and Letang, but it might slow down the roll that they've been on.
No, this is good. This is good. Kendall gets rest. He's 18. He's been through a lot. He's lost weight. This is good for him, good for Malkin, good for Letang. You worry about the wear and tear on Sid and Carlson. But in terms of momentum, yeah, I'm not too worried about that.
If they're playing simple, like you said, that shouldn't be something that's difficult to regenerate when they get back from the Olympic break, in theory.
No, I wouldn't think so. When I say simple, Tim, I don't mean they're, playing peewee hockey. I just mean they're taking certain simplicities of the game that are totally logical and applying them. The F3 is supposed to cover when the defenseman pinches. You'd be amazed how many times that just didn't happen in the prior regime. It just didn't. They cheated on the side of offense and were encouraged to do so. Now they're not.
Mark asked, do you guys think the Pens have a legitimate chance to go deep in the playoffs? I don't see them going deep. I think they could win a round. I don't think the Islanders are that much better than them, if at all, but they are the Islanders in the postseason. We know that usually goes for the Penguins. The bigger issue is, Mark, as you pointed out in the past, the Pens should have to fall into the wild card and play Tampa or Carolina. That would be where it would feel preeminent, like they're one and done.
Right. This will sound weird, but they could give Carolina a series in the second round after having won a round. They would get killed by Carolina in the first round, and by Tampa too, like you said. No, they got to finish second or third in the Metro Division. Their record against the Metro is like, what now, 12-1-4, which is incredible. I got to say, though, Tim, people talk about going deep into playoffs. Let's see if they make it first. That's far from a fait accompli.
Yeah, and the Metro Division totals that you talked about there, they are sort of inflated by the fact, like you said, that they haven't played Carolina yet. Or they played Carolina 3 more times. They've still got 3 more times to play Carolina. Yeah,
correct.
So let's go to Pappy, who says, anyone who runs a modern, not dumbed down defense is going to do a better job than Tomlin. I don't know how dumbed down this is going to be under Patrick Graham. You know, the notion that they have to keep running the 3-4 like McCarthy talked about, that's bothersome to me. I don't know why they feel like they're beholden to do that.
Okay, it's a little bothersome to me, but I get it because all their edge rushers are like 3-4 guys. I don't know how you convert them.
Well, that's a fair point. I mean, if you want to use this as a way to build into something else next year that is a little bit more of a conventional 4-3 than a 3-4, or as Patrick Graham has said, if you build something where your entire base is your sub package, which is probably the smartest thing to do, that your base is your nickel, then great, so be it. And I know they're pretty close to that now, but obviously they're not expert at it because the defense isn't as good as we pretend that it is.
You know why I would have gone to the 4-3, Tim? Watt would have wanted traded.
Well, yeah, he might at this point
now.
The
bad guy. I'm only half kidding.
You know, Graham, I don't know how he's going to relate to him. I don't know how McCarthy's going to relate to him. I would figure that Watt and Hayward would be won over by McCarthy, but you made kind of an interesting suggestion, Mark. There were only 2 guys that showed up for that press conference, and I know it was the offseason. Guys had just left. I don't know if they wanted to come right back again, but no Hayward, no Watt, and we've not exactly heard a welcoming wagon coming in from the veterans, have we?
No, they wanted Tomlin to stay because that was their domain. That was their country club. They could do as they wanted. Now they probably can, but they're not sure. It's going to be a little different for sure.
And let's be clear, even though Tomlin resigned, that locker room feels like he was forced out. That locker room thinks that he was told to quit or felt that he had to quit.
Why do you say that?
Because of the way they reacted in that DeFabo story. I think because of the union that they had for him, the way they talked about him.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying. I think you're probably right about that. But dude, I wonder if they know the real story.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they've heard. I don't know what they believe, but my hunch is the way you would have seen more support for him going out the door, and you would have seen more support for the new guy coming in if they really felt like Tomlin left on his own accord. Well, I think they wonder.
Those players are a bunch of big effing babies, entitled brats. So yeah, I'm not surprised.
I wonder if a lot of them think that this is on Rooney because he didn't give him the extension or try to buy him into the extension.
Boy, my mind is reeling with comments that I don't want to. Tim, one of these days I'm just going to say it, right?
Yeah, at some point you're probably going to get mad and say it. Yeah, probably, and then deal with the consequences afterwards.
Well, there's no consequences for the truth. At least there shouldn't be.
Ron says the Pens.
And Tim, like I keep saying, I hate to keep harping on this because it's clearly making you uncomfortable. The people who cover this team are doing a disservice by not reporting the story when they know it.
Ron says the 4th line is the best in the league. It's productive right now. I mean, like, we can't go along with what Muse is saying, that it's not a surprise that Connor Dewar is having a career year, has 13 goals. Of course it's a surprise.
I'll tell you who's the most surprised of all. He's Connor Dewar.
Right, as I'm sure is Ryan Shea, as I'm sure is Justin Brazeau. I mean, this is surprising. Let's not act like this was expected, as I think he was trying to do after the Blackhawks win. I get it. He's got to say that. Otherwise it sounds like he doesn't believe in his own players, but it's surprising, and I don't know how long it keeps up.
The production won't keep up. I can pretty much guarantee you that. The solid play can keep up. I don't think that'll halt with those guys.
Kutch has meant so much to the organization, the city. Is he tarnishing his legacy a bit by what's transpired this past week, and will he be on the roster in 2026? No, he's not, because I think the fan base won't let it be tarnished. They won't allow it to be tarnished. It's going to be the same thing that happened with James Harrison. James Harrison, kvetched his way out in 2017, and now he's on the friggin' Jumbotron before every game. It's all about forgive and forget once there's some comfortable distance, but at some point there has to be distance. Kutch can't just call his shot every year and leave it open-ended and then just decide to come back. At some point, the team is allowed to move on.
And plus, which he's small potatoes. He didn't return an interception 100 yards to win a Super Bowl. Okay? He had no RBIs in his Pirates playoff career. Okay? He ain't Willie Stargell. He ain't Dave Parker. He ain't Roberto Clemente. He's not a top 10 Pirate ever. He's the best Pirate in an okay era.
This guy asked, maybe you can remember this, Mark. I don't off the top of my head. How did the 1980 Canadian team flop? Everyone talks about Russia, Finland. Where was Canada? I don't think they made it out of pool play, right?
Yeah, you couldn't use pros then.
That was part of it too, yeah.
That
as
was
opposed
all
to
of
Russians.
it. I mean, that's what made the U.S. I mean, you talk about having the NHL players now. If they played then, what happened wasn't possible.
Yeah, I just think if I'm remembering right, they were not in America's pool. They were on the other side with the Russians. And Finland
America did not play Canada, correct. Canada did not make the medal round.
Yeah, and I think
but they weren't really expected to. Canada kind of looked down on anything that wasn't NHL friendly.
Finally, Joey says, how did the WCW hotline voice die? What does that mean?
What do you mean?
I don't know. I don't get it. Do you get the WCW reference?
Yeah, I did the WCW hotline then.
Oh, okay. All right.
Get your parents' permission first before calling, kids. No, maybe he means, like, you know what somebody has been making fun of me on Twitter for, well, among many things, is that my voice has vocal fry to it, like that. See what, I kind of get raspy? Well, you know why that is? I'm 65.
It happens. Your voice changes.
That's why that is. So, I mean, do I not sound the same as I did on the WCW hotline? Gee, that's unbelievable that I wouldn't sound exactly like I did in the mid-90s.
Go back and listen to tapes of Mike Lang, like when Mike was doing the play-by-play in the 90s, when you see old Mario clips, or the 80s even, when he was doing old Mario clips and what it sounded like. But clearly his voice had changed.
Yeah, everybody's does. I mean, so if that's what the guy's implying, I mean, what did we charge per minute? Was it like $1.49 a minute? I'm not.
So what did you
like?
Did you take live calls and just talk to people about wrestling?
No, it was like a taped message.
Oh, okay. All right.
You got all the inside scoops. We did a live version of it sometimes at big shows.
People would call in to the show while you were actually at the show.
You know what? I'll tell a quick story about that.
Okay.
When I was at WCW, the first couple of years I was there, Steve Austin was there. He wasn't a star then. We sadly didn't know what to do with them until WWE did, and really not even WWE. I mean, Steve came up with the Stone Cold character, and that's just him being himself. But anyway, Steve was on the live hotline one time, and he would, like, somebody would ask a question, he would go, "You have got to be about the dumbest sumbitch I've ever talked to," and like I said years later, I saw the birth of Stone Cold Steve Austin. It was $1.49 a minute on the WCW hotline. But that was just Steve being himself, which is all Stone Cold was. Steve being himself.
How was the Guess Who before we go, Mark?
It was good. It was good. I mean, they're old too. Their voices don't sound exactly the same. But it was really good. They did all the hits, and they did a few BTO hits too. That was the weird part. I wouldn't have expected the Guess Who would close with the Bachman-Turner Overdrive hit, because Randy Bachman was in both groups, right?
Mm-hmm.
but they did. They closed with taking care of business. And it was great. The whole thing was great.
Mark is off today. You're back on Tuesday, right, Mark?
Correct.
All right, but he will call into the show today. We're still trying to figure out what time.
4 o'clock, yes.
4 o'clock straight up. Mark will be on today. I'll be on for Tom. We're going to lead into the Penguins game against the Senators tonight on 105.9 The X. I'll be back with Joe on Friday for Behind the Bylines. That'll be on at 8 o'clock on Friday. Mark and I have our podcast up as well, the Mad Monday podcast. You can check that out at Trib Live. Also brought to you by Mike's Beer Bar on the North Shore. Meet me at Mike's.